This is Art.
Hi, I'm Art.
Hey, Art.
I'm a grateful recovering human.
All right.
Yeah, I try to remember that attitude of gratitude is what really helps me in my recovery, coming from a place of like, never good enough, right? Always trying to fill the void, always trying to fill the hole, that spirit that was in me that was like crying out. And I'm grateful you guys are all here tonight. Thank you for showing up for your recovery, because it means a lot to me. Because if I have no one to share to, then I can't keep what I have. We can't keep what we have without giving it away. And so it's like an important part of this recovery program. When someone asks me to share, is to like show up, whether I want to or not. And like I put in my schedule, like I'll reevaluate my schedule just to make a meeting, right? Like sometimes we have to put our recovery first, like over our even over our like job, right? Like because I can't have a job if I'm using, right? Like all right, it's not a great job. For me, I can't use and like work and like live a healthy, happy life where I have like that atmosphere of like love and compassion and kindness that I bring to my job, right? And to whoever I touch in my day. So I got to remember coming here is really important still for me. So it means a lot to me that you're here. So thanks for showing up. And yeah, I just wanted to let you know I'm grateful today to be alive. The first thing I do before I get out of bed is thank you God for another day clean, because my higher power brought me here and my higher power keeps me here. And that's like the first way I start my day, to turn it over to something greater than myself. Because I try to run some shit, right? I try to do, I think I'm king of the world, right? Sometimes, and it's like, not anymore, but I used to, and I used to thought I was so amazing, which I am, but like not in an egoic way, right? It's more of like in a way of like humbleness and like gentleness and all these spiritual principles that I learned as I worked through these steps and principles. And like the common denominator is that we're all an addict here. We're all, we all have this disease. And I don't know about you guys, but I have a disease. It's crazy. It's the only disease that I know of that tells me I don't have a disease, right? You can have heart disease and people are like, oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, I have heart disease and I'll treat it, right? Well, my addiction tells me I don't need to come to a meeting, or I don't need you guys, or I don't need to be of service, or I don't need to work the steps and parts of the program that are important. And that's my will running my life to this day. I can still try to control things on the outside to feel good on the inside, right? So I can get into like what brought me here. Basically, my dad was an alcoholic, my mom's mentally ill, and they raised me somewhat, right? And they did the best that they could with what they had to work with, but I didn't have a lot of structure. My parents got divorced when I was like 7, and I kind of just raised myself, kind of like a lot of neglect. There's some physical abuse and stuff, but mostly just neglect and raising. I just learned to grow up quick, and I hung out with the older kids, which had the drugs and the alcohol and the sex. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll became like my way to fit into a community, right? Or fit into a social circle, right? I was into metal, and I was like, Metallica, yeah, and I started hanging out with the stoners and the metalheads, right? Yeah. And we were stealing alcohol, and it just progressed, right? I started with alcohol, and then within a month or two, I was smoking weed, and then it just turned into almost an everyday habit. And it made me feel good, and I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It felt fun. We'd go to the park and smoke, and all the fun stuff you do, and hanging out at the creek and drinking until you throw up and you get sick, and you're like, I'll never do that again. And why did I keep doing it again? I didn't know I had a disease, right? I didn't know. I just kept going and going and going, and I tried every drug under the sun by like maybe 20. So I just kept using, and I got kicked out of almost every school I've been to for smoking pot, right? I couldn't like wait till after school. I had to smoke it at school, right? And then I'd get in trouble and got expelled. So I've been to a lot of different schools, and what that taught me is how to like get into and like get to know you real fast, and like, but not really deeply. I knew how to like become your friend, but not like, I didn't know how to be there for other people, because I didn't know how to be there for myself, right? And so I learned that later as I worked through the steps, and like just learned who I was, and yeah, I was just basically looking for attention in any way I could, and I didn't realize that when I was a kid. I was just any way to give me love, right? Here I am, and I tried cutting my arm, and I had suicidal attempt at 12 over a girlfriend, and again crying out for attention, right? And I was hospitalized at least 4 or 5 times for suicidal ideation and cutting, and yeah, just like acting stupid, right? Like just acting out for attention. And once I'd get there, I'd be like, oh, I'm good now, and I'd behave right. Once I got to jail, I'd behave right. Or once I went to the mental hospital, I'm all good now, I don't want to kill myself. And so there's like a pattern there that I didn't understand. And I just wanted to be with the crowd. Like I wanted you to love me and accept me. And so I didn't know what love really was. And I thought it was like through people, places, and things, right? Like doing cool stuff together, and not that wasn't fun, but like I didn't really gain any true long-term relationships because I was always moving around, and my dad was always getting. We moved like 5 or 6 times with his new girlfriend. We moved all the time, so I was just very chaotic and like always changing where I lived, and so like there was not a lot of stability. Right, there was just a lot of chaos and domestic violence, and my dad got arrested for like 9 months and went to prison for getting in a fight with one of the roommates, and ended up living with my grandparents, and they taught me some good structure, but I went back to my dad after I lived with them, so the structure disappeared. But they did teach me some good morals and values. Thank God for my grandparents, right? Like they're the old school generation of the Depression, right? And they're like, they taught me how to save. They taught me how to make my bed, and like get up and like no toys at the table. Even as an adult, I would like use my cell phone at the table, and my grandpa's like, "Put that toy away." I'm like, "It's not a toy. It's a cell phone. It's an adult thing." He's like, "No, it's a toy to me, right?" And he had some points, right? Like, because it was like a way to disconnect from family, because I didn't know what like family sitting at a table, being present, and looking into your eyes felt like. I didn't know how to look in your eyes. I just knew how to like avoid relationship, and like I knew how to tell a really good story, or like outdo you with this story or whatever, and I'd cut you off and never let you finish your sentence. You know what I mean? Like, just no wonder why no one wanted to be my friend, right? Like it took me years to figure this out. Like, and also because I was pushing people away with my behavior because I didn't want to get hurt. Because when I push you away, then I don't let you to get close, so you can't hurt my heart, right? And that was something I uncovered through step work. So that it just progressed, the addiction. I became a mechanic, and I went to school, and I quit. I was really good at stopping things, but then I quit weed for like 2 years, and then I'd smoke, then I'd drink, 3 times a week, and I would I never like quit everything, right? It was always like. And I didn't know I was an addict because I could stop pot and like use mushrooms on weekends, right? And I could quit mushrooms and just drink twice a week, and like I did that for years off and on, and then I want to go back. Yeah, I became a ward of the court at like 17 because I got in a fight with my dad, and then I got arrested for fighting back, right? I get arrested to defending myself basically, and. Yeah, it was really good. They sent me to Utah because I was at run risk. I tried to escape juvenile hall, and I snuck a bunch of LSD into the juvenile hall, and this guy stole it and gave it to everyone, and everyone was like tripping out, and I'm like, yeah, it was really bad. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to prison for this, right? And luckily, like no one actually found it, got all eaten except the 7 pieces I had in my little shoe. I had it hidden really well in this stitch and that little tag in my shoe.
Right.
And I was like hiding that, and I was like, man. I didn't know I was an addict, right? I'm like, I should have thrown it right away, but no, I'm still holding on to this drug, right? Because I didn't want to be in jail. I didn't know how to be in a little cube, and it was so boring to me, right? Like no TV, and I can't like go out, and like I like nature, and I like hiking, and I'm a nature boy, right? Like I still go travel, and I just like being in a box was really bad for my mental health, and I tried to hang myself, and again I got 5260'd in the jail, and and I really wanted to die, actually. That wasn't a cry out for help. I mean, it was too, but I really didn't want to be there. I was so mad they cut me down. I used my own shirt to hang myself off the light, and I guess they were recording the whole thing, and they had me on camera because of my risks behavior from before. So they saved me, and they shipped me out to Utah, which is actually the best thing because the treatment facilities back in California weren't very good. I went to Utah, and it was a really good program. They had horses, and I became like equestrian, kind of like combing and brushing the horses and bridling them and cleaning their hooves, and I became like just this awesome horse rider. Like I spent a lot of time, like they had like little you could volunteer to work, and that got me off the unit because I was like with all these youngster kids, and I was on the mental health unit. They had all these different houses, and I was on the immature, like crazy house with people hitting their heads on the walls, and it was pretty. I mean, I had mental health, but it wasn't that bad. So I thought. But I've hit my head on the wall when I didn't get my way. When I was a kid, I'd hit my head and I'd chew on the coffee table, and I'd act out, right? And here I am, like judging the people that I'm like closest to, right? Because I'm better than you, right? Because of denial, right? The disease tells me that I'm different and special, and that I don't have to take a look at who I am or like what are my character defects in the darkness that I carry, right, from my childhood and in my adulthood that I still carry sometimes. So that program really gave me a chance to like help people, and I was like a green level. They have red, yellow, and like triple green. There's like 3 level, triple orange is like the higher orange, triple green is the highest of the green. So I was between 2 and 3 on the green for like many months, and to get that level you really have to go out of your way. You have to like you don't have to be asked. You do your chore, you don't be asked to do your chore. Just like you have to help people, like they're watching every little thing, and that really helped me like give me something about this program I didn't get yet, that was like service, right? Service is key, like helping others, because it helps me with that disease of like selfishness, that it's all about me, right? And that's what drugs took me, is like all about me, how I can get more and how I can have more fun and how I can fit in, right? And that was a hard thing to accept when I first got here. I graduated the program. I came back to California. I emancipated so I could get a place to live. Like I stayed in a group home for 9 months, and they held back some college unit or high school units so I could work and I could do get a job basically and get out of the treatment facility. I had nowhere to go, so I didn't want to just be put on the streets at 18. Right, that was just not a good idea. So and that was really challenging 9 months again with a bunch of youngsters. I'm 18, and they let me have cigarette breaks, so I started smoking, and that was also another way to cope with my feelings at the time. And I'd go to AA meetings, but I didn't really get AA. The seed wasn't really planted. It was there, but I didn't really get it. And I just kind of went off on my own, and for many years started, I was just like what they call like a somewhat functional addict, but I could hold a job, but I couldn't hold a job more than a year. Or I just get bored with shit, and like there was like parts of my disease that were there, they weren't fully awakened until later, where my little brother died. I wanted to hit the road and travel, and I got rid of all my stuff, and I just was like tired. I was growing weed for the club, and I was working as a mechanic, and I was constantly working, and I was just like, this sucks. I'm always working, never have any money. I'm constantly, it's just like that grind, right? And I was just like, and I wanted to like hit the road, and my buddy was doing it. I went nomad ended up going for nomad for like 8 years. I mean, it was supposed to be a 2-year thing, and it just kept progressing, and I didn't want to go back to work, and I just wanted to do the free lifestyle, free bird, right? And just go to nature and hot springs and rainbow gatherings and all that kind of stuff. And it was cool. I learned a lot about humanity, and I learned a lot about survival and how to live without money. And I hitchhiked for 2 years and didn't have a wallet or a phone or none of that stuff. I just lived off barter and trade. And so it was very empowering, but also no structure and no discipline and all that stuff. So I struggled with structure. And when my brother died, like it was like 6 years on the road, no, fifth year or something. They found him hung in jail in the Marin County, and I knew he didn't kill himself. I was the one that had suicidal behavior, and it was never my little brother, right? So I believe they killed him, and my brother, my mom thought the same thing. And so basically I kind of was in shock, And then like a few months later, I kind of went into the depression, you know, the 5 stages of grief. And he was my little brother, man. He was like my favorite guy. He like held me, I don't know, we'd go to the creek together and we did everything together. And he was like really my only family member I really was really close to, like on a emotional and spiritual level and physical level too. Like my dad and my mom are just kind of avoidant, right? And we would talk and hang out and laugh like nobody's business, right? And so when he died, it really hurt me, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have anyone. I was drifting, you know. At that point, I ran out of couches to surf and like places to crash, and yeah, I just lost it. And I was up in Clear Lake, and people kept giving me the upper drug, you know, and they say go to Clear Lake on vacation and leave on probation.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? And it's so true, right? And yeah, I ended up getting addicted. I didn't even like that drug, but it changed how I felt, right? And it took me to a dark place. I can't even believe I got addicted to it, truthfully. It was just like, it was just all the pain from my brother, and I didn't realize at the time, but I couldn't stop. And, well, I could stop, but I couldn't stay stopped. I would go for a week run, and then I'd sleep for 3 days, and I'd take a week break, and then I'll never do that again, right? Just like when I was throwing up as a teenager, I'll never do that again. I'll quit tomorrow, right? And I don't know how many times I said that in 3 years. It was a few-year run off and on, and I really went to a place that even my best friend, he was crying. He's like, Art, I don't know who you are anymore. I don't know what you've become. And like, Ken doesn't cry, man. You know, when he's crying in front of you like that, I was like, oh shoot. And I was like, I felt so much guilt and shame. And I was like, who have I become? And what has become of me? And I just felt so sad, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I forgot about AA and NA, and I didn't really know about NA actually. And I ended up spiraling and coming out and spiraling, and I kept digging, you know, you get to the bottom. Well, I kept digging deeper bottom, right? Mental health, I got arrested a couple times just overnight, just for under the influence, right? And they gave me the court card, and I came to NA on the court card, you get it signed, and, you know, I thought, you know, you get double the signatures and you'll graduate. It doesn't work like that, right? I came back and I was like, oh, let's do second court card, triple the signatures, and maybe that'll fix me, right? And it was great. I did 3 times the meetings, and that was helpful. And then I would go to court, and they let me go, and then I went back to what I did, you know, using and back to the streets. I didn't have anywhere to live at the time, and that didn't last long. And then finally, what happened is I overdosed with fentanyl-laced heroin. I didn't even know what I was getting. I don't usually use that drug that much, but I wanted to come down, and once in a while I'd mix it, and I was intravenous, and it's really easy to overdose with intravenous use. And it just got really bad, and I woke up in the hospital 5 days later. Luckily, I was in a hotel at the time. I once in a while would save up enough money to stay in a room, and they found me on the floor, barely breathing, and my liver enzymes were like 8,000, and my kidneys were shut down. And they said I might have to be on dialysis. And I woke up and I saw my mom on the floor, and I was like, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Like, I didn't want anyone to see me like that. And my mom was there, and I was like, oh, my poor mom, you know, sleeping on the hard floor. And something clicked in me. It was like a spiritual awakening, basically, that happened when I woke up, and I was like, my mom says, like, yay, I'm alive, like a little kid, right? Like, I wanted to live. Like, because the darkness of that near-death experience was really painful. And it was, like, really not a good place to be. It was, like, in another realm that was, like a different kind of hell that my drugs brought me to, basically. And something clicked, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I finally realized that I needed help. And I knew I did, but I didn't know how to ask for help because I'm too fucking arrogant, and don't you know I know how to do stuff, and I can figure things out. I'm really good at that. But I've learned, like, you need to ask for help in this program. I don't care how much time you have or what you think you own or what you do or how spiritual you think you are, right? Like, this disease will tell you don't have a disease. tells me that all the time, right? Or I don't need to go to a meeting, I'll be fine. And then a week turns into 2 weeks, right? And it progresses, right? The illness is incurable and fatal if left untreated. And so I treat this illness like daily the best I can. And sometimes that shows up as thank you God for another day clean and doing the serenity prayer. Sometimes that's all I need to do for the day, right? Sometimes I need to go to a meeting. Sometimes I need to call my sponsor. Sometimes I need to do step work. And some days I do all of it. Some days I need to do like extra, right? It just depends. Especially in the beginning, I did it all every day on a very structured basis because I didn't have anything else going on, right? So I was, I checked myself into Second Chance. It's an outpatient rehab. That was enough for me because of the spiritual waking, I think. Everyone has a different story. Like some people need to be in here, and if outpatient didn't work for me the first time, I was going to check into an inpatient. That was my next step, right? If that doesn't work, I'll try the inpatient. But let's see how this works. And I was sleeping in my van out there and going to meetings, and they kept saying, you need to change everything, right? And part of that was my housing. It's time to get out of the van life, right? And off the streets and like into some structure. So I helped them. They helped me get into housing. They helped me get a place to live. And 5 more minutes? Okay. And then, I did it all. I had to ask, right? They didn't do anything, truthfully. They gave me the paperwork to fill out, right? They told me the place to go. I had to walk over there, and I had to take the bus or whatever I had to do. I had to go over there over and over to Berkeley Housing Project and say, hey, every week I made an appointment on my phone. Whether they wanted me there or not, I went down there and showed my face and say, hey, I want housing. I need housing. I'm going to relapse out here. I was just being honest. And that's what I did. I kept going, and within like 9 months, I think, maybe five or 9 months, it happened pretty fast when I started going there every week. So I always mention, if you have problems with housing, just keep being persistent. Even if it's annoying to them, it's okay, right? Yeah, it paid off, and I'm on a housing program, and I still have it. I'm on Section 8 now. It was a 2-year thing, and now they pulled some strings to get me on that. And within a month, off that program, they had me in Section 8, right? Because I told them, like, if you put me on the streets, it's inevitable I'm going to relapse. Because it's just everywhere, right? The streets are inundated with that stuff. And I need structure. And even though I still resist it as like a big kid in a 44-year-old body. So, I'm just grateful you guys are here. I've come a long way. I've worked the steps a couple times. I'm on step 5 right now. And I just continue to work this program. There's a lot of blessings. I travel the world. I just went to London. Well, I was supposed to go to Africa Burn, but I ended up in London with a stolen passport. And I didn't relapse over a stolen passport. I was stuck for 5 days in another country. It felt like being in prison, right? But I was free. But it was like, I felt that like a lot of character defects came up when I was stuck there, because everything's more expensive and I don't have the money for the British pound. And it was just challenging because I really wanted to be in Africa Burn for this Burning Man event. I'm a Burner Man guy. And I go to all these regionals, and I just went up to Soak in northeastern Oregon, and I hit a bunch of hot springs on the way up and down and did my meditation and prayer. And people hand me joints in the hot springs. I say, no, thank you. I'm coming up on 8 years clean on June 18th, right?
All right, man.
Yeah. And, another spiritual thing I like to say, June 18th is my brother's birthday. And I didn't plan this. This is a spiritual program. And he wanted me to get clean so I didn't have to kill myself. So I honor that day. And I either, I'm going to Element 11 in Utah, and I'll be celebrating my 18th birthday and sharing. I'm a ranger now, and I get a radio, and it's not a paid thing, but I just help people. And sometimes they're on drugs, and I know to help them, like I help to hold space and help them come back and get back to their camp. And so they don't have to like end up in a mental hospital or arrested or whatever, right? And it's a great service I can do. Like I wouldn't recommend doing that like early in my recovery. The desire's been lifted for me, and for me there's no solution in using for me. I'll use Netflix or my phone or something, or food, right? Like there's other things I use today that change how I feel. And if those things start getting unmanageable, then I really take a look, because next things will be the drugs, right? So I have, I'm very self-aware today, like who I am and where I'm at and where I'm going. I have goals and I have dreams. I also graduated the substance abuse counseling program. I worked for a counselor for a very short period of time, and it just wasn't for me. Not that I don't wear that hat as a ranger or as a life coach. I do life coaching, and I dog walk, and I do like other random jobs, yard work, and I wash cars and fix cars, and I still do a little mechanic work. I just work for myself, so I do I'm like my own entrepreneur, which is really great. I don't have to be anywhere at an exact time, and my schedule's more flexible for the lifestyle that I live. And it works for me, and I will just keep coming back because this program has gifted me the freedom to be able to go anywhere I want, whenever I want, which is such a great freedom. And to not be able to pick up a drug or even want to is like I can't even believe that. Like, it blows my mind to this day that I don't think about drugs anymore. Like, the only time I think about it is when someone tells a story or when I see them. But I don't think about actually taking it. I just think about like, oh, that's for you. I look at it when I was like, oh, that's for you. That's great. That's working for you, right? I don't even judge it. I'm like, that's cool. That works for you. That's good. It used to work for me too, but it doesn't work for me anymore. It takes me to a place that is dark and lonely. So I don't want to be dark and lonely anymore. I want to be loving, giving, and connected with you guys and sharing something that can be transmittable to another addict, which is like hope, right? Like, I hope I brought you guys some hope. Like, you guys can get through this. If you want it, you can have this. You can do it one day at a time, right? And 1 minute at a time. I don't even like to say one day at a time. It's just wait right now, what's in front of you right now. And stay in the present moment. And you stay present to the atmosphere of love and kindness and gentleness. And what do you really need right now? And if you keep that now going, right? And that's what I do every day, is I keep that now going. What's the next thing? Like, cook a healthy meal, right? What's the next thing? Go to a meeting. What's after when you're done with the meeting? Oh, call my sponsor. And then, before I go to bed, do my daily prayer and meditation, and maybe do some questions in the step working guide. And then go to bed, and then wake up in the morning. What do? Turn it over to a higher power. And then I start my day doing the work and feeding myself, right? And everything just naturally falls into place as long as I don't pick up and keep my focus on my higher power, and also, keeping with my sponsees. And like, I've worked some steps with some sponsees, and that's been such a great freedom. People actually listened to me today where no one wanted to hear me before. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm grateful you guys are here, and that you guys are, you have a chance sitting in these chairs. And out there, it's a lot harder. So thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your share. That was